You are somebody who is still trying to get the respect of the Don, and you smashing his daughter? Like, what? Make this ending make sense. What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode, man, of the C Kids Sit Down, bro. Listen, man, we got to talk about Mafia The Old Country, all right? So I just finished this game here, man, and I got some thoughts on whether I think it is worth you guys spending the price for it. I believe it is $49.99 for the game. So let's go ahead and do this real raw review of it. All right, literally I just got done with the game. All right, first thing I want to go ahead and talk about with y'all, man, is just kind of the landscape of the game, like the era that the game is actually based in, and just kind of how well do I feel that they kind of incorporated Italy into this game, man. To be honest with y'all, man, I think they did an amazing job when it comes to the landscape of the game, when it comes to the timepiece, the period, even down to the clothing. Everything, bro, from the cars, the horses, the stables, everything, man. It felt authentic to the time. It felt authentic to Sicily. It felt authentic to Italy, all of that, all right? No hate when it comes to that. The next thing I kind of want to talk about is the storyline, all right? Now, to me, this is where I feel like it's hit or miss. It kind of depends on how you guys are feeling, all right? So let's get into the story, all right? So the story is based around this character who goes by the name of Enzo, who is a worker in the mines, all right? He's a miner, and basically he rebels against the family that basically owned the mines, and he runs away, and then he gets found by the new Don, which is Don Teresa, right? Or Terrizzo, invites him into the family, and long story short, he starts to do little tasks here and there, and then eventually he works up into the ranks. He becomes a made man within the family. He starts messing around with the Don's daughter, which was, to me, probably one of the most reckless things that I felt like Enzo could have did in this game, or Enzo could have did within this game, because Isabella, who is the Don's daughter, Isabella and Enzo, y'all, was literally just running around being just completely reckless. She's sneaking out of her place, sneaking over to his spot. Then they almost get caught in his place. Then they're kissing in public, holding hands. And I'm just like, bro, y'all do realize that you're not supposed to be doing what you're doing. You're Isabella. You are the Don's daughter. And Enzo, you are somebody who is still trying to get the respect of the Don, and you smashing his daughter? Like, what? Make this make sense, bro. So moving on from that, he basically moves up into the ranks. He finally gets the respect of the Don, because one of the Don's basically right-hand man, his second in command, gets killed within the game, all right? And it becomes one of the tragic pieces and kind of turning points within the game. I feel like it was more of like the climax portion of this game, all right? It was a sad moment. I'm not gonna lie, man. Luca was the character who was the Don's right-hand man. He ends up getting killed by an ambush. It was a setup, man. And basically, Enzo, he goes and he gets retribution for Luca, who ends up getting killed within the game. And then that's how he gains the utmost respect from the Don. Don decides to say, okay, well, we need to now use you to go off this other family so we can get control of this territory, which is the mines that Enzo was originally working in, all right? Tries to run off with his daughter. They want to run off into the sunset. The daughter winds up, she's pregnant. They want to run off into the sunset. They try to get to the boat to go off into America. But when they get to the train station, they are met by the Don's people, and Don Terrizzo, he wasn't having it. He said, nah, bring them back here. We're going to take her to the doctor. We're going to try to get her an abortion and all of that, all right? They're going to get rid of whatever was growing inside of his daughter, all right? Which was kind of crazy. And then basically Enzo takes down the entire ship, all right? But Cesar, let me introduce you guys to Cesar. Cesar was a character in this game who was basically, he is Don Terrizzo's nephew, all right? That is his uncle, who he thought he was going to be the right-hand man once Luca passes away, which was the old right-hand man. But come to find out, the Don really was going to make Enzo the right-hand man, but he didn't really want it, all right? They end up getting into a battle. They end up getting into a fight, and next thing you know, bro, Enzo spares Cesar's life by saying, "You're my friend." The end of the game, the guy ends up stabbing him. Cesar ends up stabbing Enzo, your character, and Enzo dies. Spoiler, I know. Then you get into the character of the daughter, and then you're trying to make it to Enzo, and then later on she finds out that Enzo is dead by the guy who stabbed him in the side, which was Cesar. All right. She gets on the boat, and then the last clip you see is a blurry image of a guy in the background who I'm like, is this Enzo? Because you just showed us a clip of Enzo getting stabbed and killed in the side by Cesar. So I'm just kind of like, what's going on with this ending, bro? She gets on the boat, and then she heads off into America with her unborn child. To me, I'm gonna break down the story and how I felt about it. I felt like the story was good all the way up into the ending. I felt like the ending was just okay. Like, is it worth playing? Yes, I do feel like the entire game in itself is worth your money. It is worth the $49.99. It is definitely worth you guys spending your money on it. But just be on the lookout for the ending, because you can make that interpretation however you guys want to. My thing is, I just didn't understand how Enzo, you can trust the guy who was just trying to kill you, that you spared his life. But you just killed his uncle, which was the Don, right in front of him. So how in the world did you expect him to have your back and have your side when you just literally killed his uncle and was slicing him up as well? So it just didn't make sense. It's almost like, bro, you deserve to get stabbed in the side. Like, you have zero common sense, all right? I felt like the storyline was good. I just felt like they should have tightened up on the ending a little bit better when it comes to Mafia The Old Country, all right? Now, the next thing I kind of want to talk about is the length of the game, right? Let's talk about that a little bit. I felt like the length of the game was good. It felt long enough to whereas I didn't feel like I'm just on this game for a crazy amount of hours, right? Like, obviously you put in a good amount of hours. I played this game here for 11 hours that it took for me to beat the game. Now, to be fair with you guys, I did have some bug crashes. I played this on PC. I did have a couple bug crashes, so definitely be on the lookout for that if they haven't sent out a patch by the time you guys are watching this video. But yes, I did experience some bug crashes whenever I was playing this game here. Throughout the entire time I played this game, I think I experienced about 3 to 4 crashes. So nothing too crazy, but I probably, if I were to go back through this game, I could probably complete it without dying. The times that I did die, I could probably complete it in about a good, I would say about a good 8 or 9 hours. Typically is what you're going to get through if you're playing this game, all right? Let's talk about the fighting of the game. I want to talk about that. The fighting style of the game, as far as the shooting, as well as far as the kind of one-on-one battles that you will have in this game, all right? Now, when it comes to the shootouts, right, I felt like the shootouts were good. I didn't feel like the shootouts was like too difficult, but I think it did have enough difficulty to whereas it makes it interesting, all right? Now, when it came to the one-on-one knife fights that you would have, I felt like those could have been a little bit difficult as the game progressed, because the same one-on-one fights that I had in the very beginning of the game, the level of difficulty was the exact same when I fought the final boss, which was Don Torrizzo. Like, it was the same level of fighting throughout the entire game, and I feel like that's the part where they kind of dropped the ball on. I felt like maybe they could have gave more combos here and there for you to be able to dodge. It just didn't feel like it was too much of a challenge, if that makes sense. The other thing I want to talk about is the graphics, right? Let's talk about the graphics. Now, I did play this on PC because I did want to try this game out and play it in an arena where I felt like would potentially give it the most graphics that I can get out of this game. Now, if I'm comparing this, because I felt like I have to compare this game to something like a Red Dead Redemption 2, again, which is a 2018 game. This game came out in 2018. Mafia The Old Country came out this month in 2025. I felt like graphics wise, Mafia, there were some scenes that did look good, but the overall game in itself, I did feel like the graphics kind of lacked, especially if you're comparing it to something like Red Dead Redemption 2, because this game here did kind of have a lot of similarities in regards to the horseback riding, that you had to go and just kind of ride from one place to the next, which is very similar to what you can experience in is what you kind of get in Red Dead Redemption 2 is really on par with that. So that's why I'm kind of comparing the two. But I felt like the graphics in Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption 2, bro, is light years ahead of Mafia The Old Country, man. The stuff that they were doing in 2018, the graphics in that game, which again is a 2018 game, is better than the graphics in the Mafia The Old Country. Now, is it bad? Is Mafia The Old Country graphics bad? No, I don't think it's bad. I just felt like the graphics could have been a little bit better for it being a 2025 game, especially when you're trying to match the style of game. You could tell they were highly influenced by Red Dead Redemption 2 because the styles were very, very similar, all right? Also, one thing to keep in mind is the game is very linear, all right? Meaning that the story can only go one way. You can't really go off the beaten path and, you know, just kind of do your own thing in an open world environment, because it is not a open world style game. Now, obviously they do have some things in here where you can kind of find all of these kind of totem things. You can find all of the different photos and kind of get those kind of bonus things throughout the game. But if you just pretty much play the game, you can really only go one way. And if you try to go outside of the area where it's trying to get you to go, it will start a countdown clock to return you back. And if you don't make it back within that time frame, you die, and then you have to start all over again. Linear games are not bad by any means. I do feel like those games do allow you to kind of get through the game, so that way you're not just spending 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 hours on a game versus spending 11 hours on a game, and then you can go on about your day and kind of do something else or start a new game. You know what I mean? So, but all in all, man, I do feel like the Mafia The Old Country, I do feel like it was a good game to play. I'm happy that I bought it, spent my own money on it, $49.99, and I honestly feel like it is worth you guys to play as far as the storyline goes, as far as the gunfights, just the open world, just the environment that you guys are in, as well as kind of really immersing yourself into old Italy. Like, you really felt like you were in old Italy, man. All right, so definitely make sure you guys check it out, man. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below if you guys have already played it. Now, if you guys are interested in watching the full gameplay, you can head to this channel right here. Also, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button over there, as well as hit that like button, man, and show some love in the comments, man. See y'all in the next one. Squad, we out.